Welcome to another episode of Resilient Living Podcast, a show dedicated to improving quality of life for both people and planet through liberation and independence, moving you from surviving to thriving and living life on your own terms. My name is Adrian Babashoff, and today is episode 08, Complete Lifestyle Redesign, and this is the money. Okay, we're doing this series here. We're going to do quite a bit of them because if you're just tuning in, I think that there's a lot of people that are going to be needing help as soon as the musical chairs, the dance, and everything that's going on right now in the world, the United States, I guess, ends. The party's going to be over, folks. Maybe no more stimulus. Who knows what they're going to do? Maybe they'll miraculously take us out, take us out of this recession and everything. But I seriously doubt it. I think what's happened is some quantitative easing, meaning they're just letting things go, open up very slowly. And because of the mess that we're in, you can't just open it all up. I think they're quantitatively easing into the recession, so it's not just full blown. This is my opinion, anyways. But regardless of what's happening, I chose to do these shows, this entire segments, because there's a lot of people out there saying lots of crazy stuff, and we could all get freaked out. In the end, nobody knows what's going on. But what we want to be able to put our mindset and our energy towards is things that we do have control over. And one of the topics of today is the money. I want to talk about, let's just jump right in. How much money do you have is my first question. So I think that's where we need to start off financially, is to figure out where you are, because this is going to determine where you can go, what you can do, how long you can survive. It pretty much determines almost everything. So we need to look at if somebody asks me, says, well, hey, help me out, what is your suggestions? That's what I would say. What do you got? So we need to turn down to your savings, and we need to look if people even have it. I understand that a lot of people are just living hand to mouth, check to check. So maybe you don't have it, but this is what we need to know. And it doesn't just go into if you have nothing in savings. We have other things that's coming, we're going to talk about here shortly. So if you do have savings, let's take a look at everything, add that all up. The next thing I want you guys to look at is your liquid cash. What are things that you own that you're able to sell and put a value on those things? Such as maybe you guys have an extra car, maybe you have, extra tools and things like that, a tractor, a ride-on lawnmower, things like that. These are all things that could be sold, and we can figure out how much cash you actually have. The third one, and this isn't necessarily cash, this is credit. This is your credit limit. Now, I don't really believe in credit cards too much, although I do use mine, but I pay it off every single month. And the only reason I use my credit card is because I act my age. Really, I don't spend like a little child. I buy almost everything, groceries and all that. That way, in case anybody hacks me ever, I learned from a mentor of mine that the credit company will refund you the money immediately, whereas the bank may take a few weeks. So, but the point here is that if you're smart with your credit cards and you have, say, something like I think I have about a $15,000 credit limit, that's money that I could use in an emergency situation. So I count that as, let's just say I've got $30,000 in the savings account, but I also have $15,000 of credit that I can use. So therefore, I somewhat have about $45,000. I have that money in case things, go south. Okay, moving next. How much do you project to have is another question I have. So for those of you who are working a 9 to 5, this is kind of very difficult for you because you're at a set pay rate. Doesn't matter how fast you work, how slow you work, you're just going to be making the same. What you do have control over, though, is, which we're going to get into too, is how much you can save. So you can actually start to predict if you're able to save, say, $100, $200, $300, $500 a month. This gives you a projection of, oh, okay, now you can look at months and years and say, well, over 12 months, I'll be able to save, if you saved $100 a month towards some sort of emergency. Oh, there's a coyote on the side of the road, a little pup coyote. Hi, babies. You're able to project that you'd be able to save, say, $1,200 a month, or I'm sorry, $1,200 a year. So those are things there as far as projecting. Very important because when you're an entrepreneur like me, you can project how much money you're going to make because the harder I work, the more money I make, obviously. But projecting how much I want to make sometimes keeps me out of certain tax brackets. So that means I could actually get some tax money back. So those are very good advantages right there. Let's move forward onto how much can you afford to save. So this is a difficult one. I understand that a lot of people are probably going to find out if they do these exercises that I'm sharing here today that they're not able to actually save anything because they're living hand to mouth. If you are in this situation, I think we need to go backwards and rewind, and we need to get you into a place where you can. So for those of you who've been following the show, I live tiny. I live in a tiny house. So I've took my overhead and I made it very, very low. So even though I don't necessarily have to do that at all, I could go rent a nice fancy house or something, but I choose to save my money. Now, so I know that I can actually have some sort of savings. Now, if I bought a brand new truck, had the nice house and everything like that, I wouldn't be able to save anything. And that's not a very good spot to be in. So how much can you afford to save is really going to tell you a lot of what you need to do. You may need to change your lifestyle. If you are renting an apartment or something, maybe consider doing RV, stationary, full-time RV living. We're going to do a show on that. It doesn't mean traveling around like some of these rubber tramps and people like that. It just means that you're going to stay in an area. For instance, I'll give you guys the medium, the regular rent here in Sunnyside, San Diego, Southern California is about no less than like $2,500, $3,500. Even this place is going for like $4,000, $6,000 a month. So I'm paying $850. I'm paying like a third, 2/3 less, right? A third of the cost. That's how I'm able to afford to save money and do the things that I do. So you need to take in consideration things like that. Assets and liabilities, I think that is something that could probably be a show all in and of itself. But I do want to talk about some things that people, I believe, in my opinion, these are all just my opinions, but I think they get misled into real estate is actually an asset. It is an asset. But I want you guys to understand what assets and liabilities are. So an asset, as people will teach you, is a house. A house isn't necessarily the asset. It's an asset because the bank will see that there's a livable structure on a piece of land, and if this person defaults on the loan and we need to take that house and that land back, we can actually easily sell it, rent it out, whatever. It's livable. But mainly, I think what we're looking at as an asset is a piece of land. Now, there's a lot of people who say go purchase just an empty lot and just sit on it in a developing area. That's an asset. The land's going to go up. As soon as you put a house on that thing, a brand new house, it goes way up. But the reason why a house, in my opinion, is not an asset is because you have such things as deterioration, like the paint starting to wear out. The roof's going to need to be fixed. The electrical's wearing out. Everything on this house, the roof, all those kind of things are wearing out. And the worst case scenario that I see in attack is termites. So silently, these things could be eating away the foundation and things like that. So in my opinion, in the end all, really the value is in the land. But this is a catch-22, right? So liabilities are things that you go like a car. A car, it's very difficult to differentiate between the two, but to simplify it, as soon as you drive a brand new spanking car off the lot, say you paid $50,000, as soon as the rubbers touch the road, that car instantly goes down by, if you did a U-turn and brought it back, they would give you $40,000 for it. It instantly loses, and it starts costing you money. So a simple way to explain assets and liabilities in your life, and very important for us, is that an asset is something that actually makes you money, whereas a liability is something that actually starts costing you money. So hopefully I made that one simplified enough. But I wanted to throw that tweak in there so that you can think for yourself and be like, yeah, I do understand. So some assets really pay you like a tool, a hand tool, like let's just say a cordless drill. Yeah, it costs a lot of money. Meanwhile, the brushes and the batteries and stuff are to wear out. But the amount of money that thing makes you, in contrast to what you paid for it, definitely an asset. All right, moving forward, what value do the things you own have? So we were talking a little bit earlier about that. If you had to sell everything, what monetary value do these things have? And how, notice the monetary value there of when you start putting everything together. I've moved maybe over 25, 30 times in my life. I've had to have yard sales and things like that. Tools, things that were pretty much assets in my life that I had to sell. I had to sell them for a fraction of the price. I think that this is for one, this is really good because remember we were talking about how much money do you actually have. In the worst case scenario, to get yourself a plan, an exit strategy, if life is crumbling on around you, you're going to lose everything. This is extra money that you have in your pocket. and maybe a lot of things that you can assess to say, well, maybe I should take my power drill with me, because remember, that's an asset that can actually make me money somewhere, repair my vehicle, things like that. So the worst thing, it's kind of a negative, but it is a positive, because it's liberating for you. Notice how much we all stress on, I'm going to lose everything. And when you put a monetary value on these things, what you can actually sell them for, not what you think that you can get for them, but what you can actually sell and get. And then you start to look and go, wow, these things have been owning me. These things have been stressing me out, causing me turmoil in my life, and a lot of worry. And the next question, well, we'll save that one for the last. Notice that monetary value of how those things, the duvet blankets, and the carpet and the coffee table, did it pull the room together? Yeah, probably. But how much worth of your stress and your money and your investments, how much of an asset is this to your life? And you'll kind of find maybe not so much. The things you want to ask is, what value or purpose do these things serve in your life? Do these things, I have like 3 here. Does it make your life easier? Does a coffee table make your life easier? No. Does a power drill make your life easier? Yes. Have you ever tried to put a 2-inch screw, or maybe a drywall screw into a loose panel by hand? It really hurts your wrist. You could do one, take you forever, but you get that power drill, and all of a sudden you're able to screw that thing in a millisecond. You could also get yourself a socket wrench kit that actually attaches to a drill, and you can actually do mechanics. You can remove the lug nuts off your tire if you had to change a tire out, and you could do this in half a second and without bending your elbows. Those are things that make your life easier. So you want to go around, you want to look at things. How does this serve me? How does this make my life easier? Certain things I look at that I purchased was like a blender, the same blender that Starbucks uses. I remember I was a vendor. I was selling blended coffees and lemonades and things like that, and I just went and looked in the back of the when I got a cup of coffee, and I was looking at it, and I says, oh, I got the number and the type and everything down, asked the lady how they like it and everything, and she says it was great, so I bought one. This thing was over $1,000. It's a workhorse. Is it serving my life? Yes, that thing can make me some money. I can easily go vend again. I can, well, not necessarily in these COVID times, but I could set up a little cart someplace at the beach, get the necessary permits, start selling blended coffees again, or lemonades. But what this thing also does is it makes nut butters for me. I can grind grain into flour. I can make smoothies that I put in my vehicle, like where I am right now, where I'm driving to work, and I'm able to make my entire lunches, because I do intermittent fasting every single day. I'm able to make my lunches with these protein smoothies for 5 days a week. I can do this all within probably about 20 minutes. It's saving me money. It's improving my health. It's making life a lot easier for me. So these are tools. These are things. And especially if the crap hits the fan, we need to figure out what are some of these things that we already have that we can introduce to our life to make our lives easier. And then what are things that we can get? What are things that we can purchase if we are going to make any purchases? How valuable is this in our lives? And getting in that philosophy moving forward. Does it make you money? So as we talked about, my blender, that thing can make me money. I don't think that every single thing that you own should and can make you money. I think that it would be nice that if everything can, because we're talking about stacking functions here, something that has multiple functions, right? Like the Vitamix, the blender, it does multiple things. So if we can stack things, that's one of the keys, I think, in life, as far as in your monetary relationship to the world, is what are things that you have that can actually make you money? And if it makes your life easier, and it also makes you money. These are great things to consider and to invest in. Now, the last thing I have on my notes here is, would you be harmed or die without any of these things? Maybe some of them, I would imagine, you would get harmed. Maybe your health, in my opinion, would harm you because you're not making those smoothies. You don't have the time. Maybe you ought to keep. I'm just using that blender as a metaphor here. But would you die if you lost all of these things? So I know that a lot of people are stressing right now. A lot of people are going through a lot, and that's kind of the key thing that I just want to bring this message out is let's be smart. Let's learn about assets and liabilities. Let's learn about saving money, getting out of debt. Well, let's also know that are you really going to die or suffer at some great magnitude because of the loss of these things? No. I can tell you guys that I have had to start over from scratch, from zero, many, many times. I've screwed up a lot of things. I've tried a lot of different things and ended up failing, learned a whole bunch, and then came back at it again, and then I had success. So that's kind of what I want to do is just to let you guys know I speak from experience. I live this stuff. I don't just talk about it. This is me. This is my life. And that's why I'm here sharing this information. So you guys, a lot of the stuff that we put so significant amount of importance on is not actually that detrimental to our lives. Sometimes starting over is an adventure, and it's a really cool, fun thing to do, even with your children. So guys, that's the show. If I brought you guys any values, please like and subscribe. Mention the show to your friends. Help us get this show off the ground. I know the background noise. This is my F350 7.3 liter diesel. I'm on my way to my spin farm operations to go harvest some food for the weekend. And yeah, that's the background noise. And as this show starts to progress, hopefully we can get ourselves into a studio that I'll make in my tiny house living situation so we have better quality audio. So guys, you can reach me at Resilientlpodcast@gmail.com. Let me know some comments, things that you guys are interested in. And as I always say, guys, go out there and have yourself a near-life experience. Don't lose your muchness. Carry on the fire and human up, my friends.